Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to see one of the most important interview experience of TCS. And in this video we have covered all the 3 rounds questions, that is technical round, managerial round and HR round questions. So even with the questions we have covered some of the answers. So if in any case you have doubt what to answer for a particular question, you can refer the answer from the video. Also, if you have any doubts related to any question or any interview related doubts, you can post in the comment section. And if you want any interview experience video of your upcoming interview or any of the other companies interview experience that you need, you can ask in the comment section and we will bring that video for you. So let's start with today's video. So the first question is, name the pillars of object oriented programming. Is C++ an object oriented programming language? Is C++ a purely object oriented programming language? So this is the one question, and it is based on OOPS. So basically it is a technical round question. So if you already know the answer, it is well, but if you do not know, let's see the answer for this question. So the answer for this question will be, the 4 pillars of object oriented programming are encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. Abstraction means hiding the details from the user. For instance, when we build any application, we only let the user interact with it using buttons. We never let the user know what happens behind the clicks of the buttons. Encapsulation, as the name suggests, this means encapsulating different kinds of data into a single entity. For instance, when we make a class, we can encapsulate the data and member functions into that single class. Inheritance, when a class inherits from another class, it shares the properties of the first class. For example, if we make a student class, it inherits the class people. As a student have all the properties of people like student, walks, talks, etc. apart from it. The student has its own properties like enrollment number, subjects, etc. Now the next pillar, which is the polymorphism. The word poly means many and the word morph means form. This means that the polymorphism means showing many forms. Polymorphism can be runtime or compile time. Examples of polymorphisms are functions overloading and functions overriding. Yes, so this is the this last paragraph is the answer for the last question which they have asked. Is C++ a purely object oriented programming language? So the answer for this is yes, C++ is an object oriented programming language, as we can create classes and objects, and C++ can implement the 4 pillars of OOPS. However, C++ is not a purely object programming language. This is because a purely object oriented programming language is a language where all the functions are written inside class and there are no primitive data types. Everything is an object in a pure object oriented programming language. So this is the answer for this question. Okay, so now in your case, if you do not know this much long answer, it is absolutely fine. I have covered this much long answers because you might remember some of the information from this long answer. Okay, and you don't even have to give this long answer in your interview because maximum duration of the answer should not exceed, I guess, 30 to 35 seconds. So that will be sufficient. And if after that, if the interviewer wants you to speak more, he will ask you to say something more about it. But 30 to 35 minutes will be more than sufficient time for a given answer. So let's see the next question now. What is fragmentation? What does linked list have to do with it? So the answer for this question will be, we know that when we use arrays, we use sequential memory, that is the memory is used continuously. Now let us say that we have a large size array and we do not have that much sequential memory, so we won't be able to store the data even if the memory is available. It is not available continuously but rather in fragments, and we are not able to utilize this. This is called as fragmentation. So we can use a linked list to store the data as it does not require contiguous memory, and thus solves the problem of fragmentation. In a linked list, data is stored in a node that also stores the pointer to the next node, as the data is not contiguous and the next node can be present anywhere in the memory. So this will be the answer for this question, that is what is fragmentation. If you have studied operating system in your curriculum, you must be very much aware about this question, but if not, fragmentation is a very simple concept in which basically we try to store our memory. Basically there is a specific amount of block that is assigned to a particular memory, and the remaining part of the memory which is left is wasted, and in order to utilize those we make use of the concepts or different data structures like linked list. So this is the concept of fragmentation. Let's move on to the next question now. List some linear and non-linear data structures. So this is a very basic questions. Let's see the answer for this now. Linear data structures are arrays, linked lists, stacks, queues and dequeues are all the linear data structures. Non-linear data structures, the non-linear data structure can further be classified into circular and non-circular. So some circular data structures are circular queue, circular dequeue, circular linked list, etc. And some non-circular data structures are trees, graphs, priority queues, etc. Moving on to the next question. List some major roles performed by an operating system. Again, one more question from operating system. Since this is technical round questions, you can expect the questions from your curriculum subjects like operating system, data structures, computer networks, and so on and so forth. Let's see the answer for this question now. An operating system performs various roles. Some of the examples are as follows. Resource governor. The operating system acts as a resource governor so that there is no load on the system. It allocates and deallocates the resources to the processes and also handles the synchronization of these resources among various processes. Process management. Operating system use various scheduling algorithms to manage the processes and their execution. This is done to increase the efficiency of the CPU so that it is never idle and the process keep on executing. Storage management. Operating system acts as a storage management bus using its file system. The data of the user is stored in the form of files and directories. Memory management. Memory management and storage management are confused with each other most of the times. However, the storage management concerns the file system and the storage of data in the computer. The memory management means managing the memory allocation to the process at the time of execution. Which process should be kept in the ready queue, which is in the waiting queue. Both these queries are inside RAM only. And the last role is privacy and security. Privacy and security from any threats or viruses are also the responsibility of the operating system. However, inter-process security is also the responsibility of operating system. So these are some of the roles performed by operating system. So you don't have to remember the entire work of the particular role. You can just remember like resource governor, process management, storage management, memory management, and privacy and security. So if interviewer asks, just explain about like storage management, then if needed you can explain further, but the terminology will be more than sufficient. Moving to the next question now. Can we override the private methods? No, we can't override the private methods. The private methods are those methods that have a scope only within the same class. Since they cannot be accessed outside the class, even by a subclass, there is no way to override the private methods. So this was the answer for the question, can we override the private methods? Moving on now to the next technical round question. List some comparison and similarities between the Java and C++ programming language. So let's see the answer for this question. Java and C++ are both object-oriented programming languages. However, everything in Java has to be inside a class, whereas this is not the case with C++. C++ has structures that are similar to classes but are used in procedural object-oriented programming and not object-oriented programming. Java does not have structures, Java has interfaces, and C++ does not. Also in C++, multiple inheritance is supported while it is not supported in Java. C++ is fast as compared to Java because C++ is a compiled language, whereas Java is a hybrid language, that is, it is both compiled as well as interpreted. Also, Java uses JVM to run, whereas C++ runs directly using the operating system. Hence, Java is platform independent, whereas C++ is platform dependent. Java has a wrapper class for each primitive data type. So even though Java is not purely or properly object oriented, it is possible to write a pure object oriented program in Java, whereas not possible to do so in C++. Moving on now to the next question. What is DOM? So let's see the answer for this question now. DOM stands for Document Object Model. It is an API. API stands for Application Programming Interface, that is used to access and change the contents of HTML elements. It provides a hierarchical structure of web page that makes it easy to understand the elements, their parents, their siblings and their children. So this question is from web development, so you can answer it accordingly. Now before moving on to the next question, I would like to remind you that if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and if you feel that our videos are helpful to you, please share it amongst your friends and like the videos. Also you can check the playlist section of our channel where we have uploaded several different videos related to interview experiences and data structures, so that if you are preparing for your upcoming interview, those videos might be helpful for you. Moving on to the next question now. What is the relation between the pages and frames in the operating system? In operating system, paging is a method of dividing each process into small segments called pages, and the main memory is also divided into the frames so that each frame can accommodate one data page. Hence the relation between pages and frames is size of the page is equals to the size of the frame. So this is one of the questions from operating system. Moving on ahead with the next question. What is TCP or IP protocol? So TCP stands for Transfer Control Protocol. The TCP is a connection oriented protocol implemented at the transport layer of the OSI model. TCP is responsible for breaking the data in the form of small frames called as framing, and later at the receiver end it also reassembles the frame back into the sequence to get the data back. IP stands for Internet Protocol. It is present at the network layer of the OSI model. IP is not reliable and it is connectionless model. IP is responsible for sending and receiving the data that is broken into the form of frames by the TCP. The IP is combined with TCP to form a reliable data sending receiving protocol. Moving ahead with the next question. Do you know why the main function or main method is static in Java? The main method, like every other method in Java, is also inside a class. Now when we compile or run the Java program, we do not create an object of the class containing the main method, so we have to make sure that the main method can be accessed without creating an object of the main class. Hence the main method is static, because the static method belongs to the class and not to a particular object. So this was the one of the technical round questions. Moving on to the next question now. Can constructors be overridden? No, constructors are not overridden. The subclass constructors have to call the superclass constructor for their creation as they inherit from the superclass. Hence the constructor cannot be overridden. Moving ahead to our next question. So till now the questions that we have seen were technical round questions. Now we have moved to the TCS managerial interview round questions. So the first question is, have you ever worked on a team project? If not, why? So if you have worked on a team project, you should answer accordingly, and if not, you should answer that you feel more comfortable in handling the entire project by yourself and you don't want to be dependent on any other, and so on and so forth. So you have to provide the proper explanation or reason behind whatever the option that you are given to them, either worked in a project or not in a team project. Okay, so moving on to the next question now. How to work in a team? So this is one of the very common managerial interview round question, that is how to work in a team. So basically you can say that while working in a team, we have to cooperate with one another, we have to be listen to the guidance given by the team lead and all those things, right? So you can answer it accordingly. So next question is, how do you manage your stress? So you have to give proper answer according to you, that is more suitable in your case, that how do you manage your stress, what do you do in order to manage your stress. Moving on to the next question. What are some excellent principles of working in the software and industries? So what are some of the benefits or excellent principles that you feel that are worthy of for working in a software industry? How do you define success? So again, one of the common questions. What qualities do you think you have that makes you different from others? Let's see the next question now. So these are some of now the questions that we have seen till now were some of the managerial round questions. Now we are moving towards the HR round questions. So are you willing to relocate? So what you have to answer is yes. Like in most of the cases you have to answer yes only, because if you say no, you might get rejected, because they always look for the candidates to give yes answer for these questions. But it is not mandatory that if you will say yes, you have to relocate only, but a decent answer for this question would be a yes. Moving on to the next question. Who is the current CEO of TCS? So before sitting for your interview, I would suggest you to keep some basic information about the company that you are sitting for, because sometimes you can have such kind of questions also. Moving on to the next question, do you have any questions for us? I would suggest you to always ask a simple question and not to say no, I don't have any questions, because if you ask a simple or basic question also, it will have a positive impact and the interviewer will feel that yes, you are interested in this job post and you want to get this job and you want to explore more of it. Moving on to the next question, market yourself or tell me about yourself. So for this question, we have kept a very basic answer for this question. Let's see it. Good morning. I am XYZ. I am pursuing my final year in computer science engineering at XYZ Engineering College. I maintain a CGPA of 8.9%. I completed my schooling in XYZ with 95% in 12th and 93 in 10th. I always believe in hard work and I go with the words of Edison. Genius is just 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I am very dedicated to my work. I can adapt easily to any kind of environment, and that's where my strengths stand. I like to be creative. My hobbies are listening to music, playing cricket. My short-term goal is to join a software company as a programmer. My long-term goal is to become a programmer lead within 5 years. Also, add your details about your family if you want. So this much answer will be sufficient for this. Like the first question that you can expect is of introduction only. So please prepare your introduction very well. Moving on to the next question now. Mention your strong points or strengths. Adapting to the new atmosphere and grasp things to a great pace. Positive attitude, workaholic and flexible person. I always believe in the time management and believe in making things happen. Above all, my greatest strength is self-confidence. I also have qualities of enthusiasm, persistence and punctuality. Let's see the next question now. What are the changes you can bring into our company? The answer for this can be, I am industrious, innovative and willing to adapt to the changes in work. I get along well with the people and can promote good team play, which will lead to a good working environment. Moving on to the next question now. Why do you want to work at our company? Sir, I have learned much about the best practices followed at the company. Seniors from our college have told me about the company, the best of the training, state of the art infrastructure, and company has the best environment to work and it's better platform where my ideas are recognized and encouraged. So if you are not nervous in the panel, your 90% work is done, because even if you say something wrong, that will not be focused by the interviewer, because your confidence level is high. So he will be paying attention to your confidence level and not to the words that you are speaking, but instead how you are speaking those words. Let's see the next question now. What is the difference between confidence and overconfidence? Give an example. So the answer for this can be, confidence is the inner strength that can make you achieve anything you really desire to achieve, whereas overconfidence is something that turns this inner strength into weakness, since excess of anything is bad. So, and also you can add your real life example if you want. Moving on to the next question. Give me an example of your creativity and innovativeness. So the answer for this can be, I have a creative imagination. Whenever anyone describes a situation, place or a person, I built an image of it in my mind. This helps me to recall and understand things well. Also mentions some of the innovative ideas you are going to enforce in your project. Moving on to the next question now. How long will you work for this organization? I would like to gain more knowledge to serve the best for the organization, but at present would like to earn practical experience. If I need to do further studies for the sake of company, I am also ready for that. So accordingly, you should answer the questions of HR round. The next question is, why do you say that you will not do higher studies now? So if they have asked you, like, are you interested, will you be doing any higher studies? So I would suggest you to almost answer no, because if you will say yes, they might feel that you have some future plans of having higher studies and you will leave this job and they might not select you. So I would suggest you to say no in most of the cases, but if you want, you can even say yes, but a no will be much preferable. So the answer for this can be, sir, all these long years I have acquired a lot of theoretical knowledge and I believe that it's the right time to make those knowledge counts by earning practical experience from your esteemed organization. Also, I believe that my higher studies will have a lot of integral values with the experience that I am going to acquire at the workplace. So this can be a specific answer for why do you not want to do higher studies. Moving on to the next question. Can you lead a team on your own as a fresher? How and what are the strategies? Would you enforce to run an effective team? Gladly, I would be interested to run a team as a fresher. As a leader, I would know the strengths of each team member and get the best out of them. Initially, I would call them to perform the nature of the job assigned, and the deadline would be set for the entire project. I would be constantly monitoring with motivation from all ends. I believe things will happen. So the answer for leading a team can be given in such a way. So with this, we have completed today's interview experience, and in today's interview experience we have covered the questions from all the 3 rounds, which were technical, managerial and HR round questions. So again, if you feel that this video has helped you in some way, please give it a like and share it amongst your friends so that they can also get benefited by these videos. Also, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel so that you will not miss any notifications from our end. Also, please visit the playlist section of our channel where we regularly post data structures and interview related preparation videos regularly. Thanks for watching.